Hello everyone, this is Vijender Mishra. I am seasoned cybersecurity professional with having more than 22 years of global proven record in cyber defense in aligning and integrating cybersecurity and technology with the business roadmap. Today I am going to talk about cybersecurity threats in pharma industry. I hope that today's session is going to be very informative for all pharma business leaders. Thank you very much.
So we are going to talk about cybersecurity threats in pharma industry. As we have seen during COVID-19 pandemic, pharmaceutical companies were most vulnerable to the cyber criminals. And even when we talk today, pharmaceutical companies are at higher risk for cybersecurity. So cyber criminals have been targeting pharmaceutical industry. With all ways and means. A cybersecurity threat is a malicious act that seeks to damage data, steal data, or disrupt digital life in general. Cyber threats include computer viruses, data breaches, denial of service attacks, and other attack vectors. Cyber threats also refer to the possibility of a successful cyber attack that aims to get unauthorized access, damage, disrupt, or steal an information technology asset, computer network, intellectual property, or any other form of sensitive data. Cyber threats can come from within an organization by trusted users or from remote locations by unknown parties. Now we will move to the next slide and we are going to talk about understanding the pharma cyber attack. The pharmaceutical industry is home to some of the most sensitive data and highly valuable technology, making it a major target for cyber criminals. Cybersecurity in the pharma industry is at risk as organizations host sensitive information about patient, patented drugs, clinical trials, research projects, and advances in technology. The pace of technological change that increase in automation tools and the use of third-party vendors pose major cyber security challenges to pharma companies. A key challenge for information security in the pharmaceutical industry is to implement security control and comprehensive robust strategy that safeguard digital assets and reduce cyber attacks on pharma companies. This will help to avoid a catastrophic loss of data that could damage pharma companies' consumer and patient trust, tarnish their brand image, and despite this, the pharma industry has not been at the cutting edge of cybersecurity, but because of high-profile attacks, pharmaceutical industries have begun to prioritize the need of better security. And if you see the global cybercrime damage cost, this was taken from last year. So every second global cybercrime damage cost was 190,000 USD. In 1 year, it crossed a figure of 6 trillion USD. Every minute, global cybercrime damage cost was 11.4 million USD. When we talk about pharmaceutical and healthcare, the healthcare industry incurs the highest average data breach cost at 7.13 million USD. More than 93% of healthcare and pharma organizations experience a data breach in the past 3 years. Many times it got reported, it came into media. Many times companies were a bit hesitant to report, so it never came into the media. The healthcare industry lost an estimated 35 billion to ransomware attack in 2022. Sorry, in 2020, this cost was approximately 35 billion. In 2021, the healthcare industry lost approximately 52 billion to ransomware attack. So, in 1 year, you see the difference. In 2020, the loss was around 35 billion. In 2021, it was approximately 52 billion, and that is only for ransomware attack. Now, we move to the next slide to understand that why cyber criminals are targeting pharmaceutical companies. I'm sure that most of business leaders were very curious to know that why cyber criminals are targeting pharmaceutical industry. And as we talk today, still pharmaceutical companies are most vulnerable to the cyber criminals. The cyber security landscape is continually changing and evolving, and cyber criminals are increasingly targeting pharma companies. And why they are targeting pharma companies? There are various reasons, but we will talk about 3 major reasons that why they are targeting. And the first reason is nature of data. So the data collected by pharmaceutical companies, including proprietary information about patented drugs, data related to pharmaceutical advances and technologies, and patient information, are all incredibly sensitive and valuable, which means that losing control over the data can have catastrophic consequences and erode patient and consumer trust. Having a comprehensive cybersecurity strategy in place to safeguard those digital assets has become an essential part of pharma companies' security protocols. Pharma companies that do not prioritize creating robust, flexible, and comprehensive cybersecurity strategy leave their valuable data vulnerable to the cyber criminals. So, the nature of data pharma companies they host is also a reason cyber criminals are targeting pharmaceutical companies. The second point is digitization. Cyber threats to the pharmaceutical industry makes them prone to identity theft and evolving cyber vectors. As organizations put more focus on digitization, more of their valuable data gets stored online, which makes them a bigger target to cyber criminals. The third point is big use of big data and IoT. Pharma companies also have a huge number of devices collecting health and patient data that is stored online. So they use tools like big data and the Internet of Things, what we call it IoT. This increases the risk and makes it more important for organizations to introduce security and privacy by design. So I could find 3 major reasons that why cyber criminals are targeting pharmaceutical companies. Point number 1, the nature of data what pharma companies they host. Point number 2, digitization. And point number 3, the use of big data and IoT. So these are the major reasons pharmaceutical companies are getting targeted by cyber criminals. Now we will move to the next slide and we talk about the pharma cybersecurity challenges to be aware of. So few points needs to be considered, by pharma business leaders, and they should be well aware that what are the challenges. What are the cybersecurity challenges they have. So they have to be well aware of few cybersecurity challenges, and we are going to talk here about the first one. But before that, let us try to understand, the threat landscape. So pharmaceutical cybersecurity is at risk from a wide range of threats and attack vectors, which includes third-party vendors. Why third-party vendors? Because pharma companies are heavily reliant on third-party vendors to carry out daily activities like research and development. Many companies rely on clinical research firms to advise them on the medical areas they should be investing in, while others use third-party logistics organizations to receive, store and fulfill their medication orders. Any breach suffered by a third-party vendor can damage the pharma companies and result in their data being lost. Healthcare cybersecurity relies on having processes and practices in place to ensure they meet strict regulatory compliance requirements. So third-party vendors are, one of the risks which business leaders should be well aware of. The second is ransomware. It has been around for long now. It started with ransomware, then you had double ransomware attacks. Now we have seen a new trend where you have triple extortion ransomware attacks. So these also needs to be considered, and if you see the figure itself, it's an alarming figure what we can see here. In 2015, the global ransomware damage cost was around 325 million USD. What we witnessed last year, it had crossed 20 billion USD. And what we are expecting by 2024, it is going to be 42 billion USD. So last year we witnessed a ransomware attack in every 11 seconds. By 2031, what we are expecting to see a ransomware attack in every 2 seconds. So ransomware is also a big challenge which business leaders should be well aware of. Now we move to the next risk, which is IoT. So we have seen that the pharmaceutical industry is one of the biggest proponents of emerging IoT, and which improves understanding of and simplifies access to important documents and patient data. So IoT increases the risk of cyber attack, which also needs to be considered by business leaders, and robust cybersecurity strategy has to be at place to ensure that your IoT adoption journey will not have any such vulnerabilities where cyber criminals can target easily. The next one is phishing attack. So phishing attacks can easily reach the inboxes of millions of people and have damaging effects on users and organizations, what we see in our day-to-day life also. So we receive emails where emails are being claimed that you won some lottery and you have to click on this link and provide some information. Sometimes you get an email that you have a very expensive parcel which got stuck at customs and you need to provide information. Once you provide and submit, then they ask you to pay a certain amount. Some are coming with the malicious link. Once you click on the link, they get relevant information from your system. Sometimes it can have more dangerous consequences as well. So this needs to be considered. The next one is employee error or human negligence. So human error and negligence remain a major driver of data breaches, and cyber attacks across all industries. Yeah, whether you talk about pharma industry, you talk about automobiles, any other manufacturing industry, or whether it's a BFSI, I mean across industries. You just accidentally sharing data or using unapproved applications and software offer an open door for cyber criminals to intercept or steal information. To prevent pharma cyber attacks, companies must ensure employees are not able to duplicate or delete data and follow protocols around safeguarding corporate information. The next point is mergers and acquisitions. Mergers and acquisitions are common in the pharma industry and pose a major risk to confidential data if the process is not managed effectively. So when two companies merge or one acquires another, there is a high risk of compromise through a lack of data protection and due diligence. So this point also needs to be considered by pharma business leaders. And last but not the least is new technology and governance. New technology carries inherent security risks for pharma companies. Therefore, they need to ensure all new technologies are properly secured and do not present any vulnerabilities to hackers. Pharma companies require flexible but robust cybersecurity practices and protocols that protect their new technology from attacks, enabling them to monitor threats, spot vulnerabilities, and secure intellectual property. So this was all about the pharma cybersecurity challenges to be aware of. I mean, that is for pharma business leaders. I hope that you will find this session very informative. Thank you very much for your time. And probably in my next video, I'm going to talk about artificial intelligence and digital transformation. And I will try to cover a few more points during my next video. Thank you very much for your time.